It's not about how many 100 things you can play, but how many 100 ways you can play one thing. And we're excited to be bringing you our knowledge right here on the NGO Radio Terra's YouTube channel. Big shout out to our sponsors, Roland Corporation, Proel Corporation, Tamburo Drums, as well as Icon Microphones. Keep us powered, locked in, and sounding great. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite drum breaks. These are some grooves that ended up getting looped in the 70s and 80s and making their way into the golden era of hip-hop, influencing dozens, if not hundreds of records, if not thousands of records across the last 50 years. These are drum breaks like Impeach the President, drum breaks like Footsteps in the Dark, drum breaks like the Amen break, drum breaks like Funky Drummer, and beyond, right? So I'm going to get to them. I'm going to demonstrate them, and I'm excited to be here. Let's get right into it. Big shout out again to Roland, Proel, Tamburo Drums, and Icon Microphones. I can't stress enough how much they support me and these lessons. So let's get right into it. The Honey Drippers, that was a band in the 70s that had this great drum break in a song called Impeach the President, and this break went on to become infamous in so many different songs. Right? So this is a cool break. A cool break. Let me slow it down for you. Incredible break. And again, I'm going to show you how these grooves sound at a slow tempo for educational purposes, and then I'm going to speed them up so you can kind of hear what they sound like as drum and bass or jungle. And that's what happened, is that these ended up getting repurposed inside of hip hop, and then they got repurposed over in the UK as drum and bass and jungle. Also here in Baltimore, Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit, these drum samples got sped up, not slowed down. So the DNA of all this great Black American music floats throughout the world in other subgenres. Let's talk about James Brown and Funky Drummer. This is a really, really important drum break. It's quite possibly my favorite drum break, and I'd like to share it for you right now. So this right here was one of James Brown's probably least popular songs at the time that it was released compared to all the other stuff around it. This was sort of a critically acclaimed dud. However, this became the most sampled drum break in history, I think, besides the Amen break. So shout out Clyde Stubblefield. This is a special groove because it's got all these ghost notes, and it is kind of fast. Let me see if I can go ahead and pull up the original tempo. So we can speed that up a little bit, and I think that will take us to the original vibe. So Funky Drummer is an incredible groove. It's been in everything, and it's also a pretty crazy jungle groove. So check this out. that really takes a lot of stamina if you want to play it super fast. Let's get over to another really awesome groove. One of my favorites right here. This is called Footsteps in the Dark. Ernie Isley is playing drums on this. He's also playing guitar. And I like to dampen the snare because this one needs a little fatter of a sound. One of my favorite versions of this is Jay Dilla's interpretation of these drums on One Won't Do, as well as Thundercat's version of these drums, which is called Them Changes. Super fat, super dope groove. Love that. Also, Ice Cube, Today Was a Good Day. Those drums. All right, let's move over here to the Amen break. This right here might be the second most, or tied with Funky Drummer, for the most sampled drums. Yes. Wow. That's an incredible groove. Let's see. So we covered Impeach the President. We covered Footsteps in the Dark. We covered Funky Drummer. We covered the Amen Break. And what's another really great drum groove that we can discuss that's so important to hip hop in general? All right, last drum break, and this is going to be something that is attributed to sort of a Caribbean, an Afro-Caribbean rhythm, but this is a nice way of synthesizing a James Brown vibe with an Afro-Caribbean rhythm. And this thing is in a bunch of grooves. This is in a bunch of famous hip-hop records. This is Doing It by LL Cool J. This is Baby with Fabulous. So, all right. Cool. So, let's go back over it. Today we talked about Impeach the President. All right. Next is Footsteps in the Dark. Next would be Funky Drummer. Next would be the Amen Break. And which is kind of like this. All right, so keep in mind that all this is really just about having fun with all these grooves. Dig into the records, dig into the history if you want, but just know that there's always something that you can play. And if you can call up these grooves really fast, then you can have some really authentic grooves to play on any gig in any situation. They're very much road tested and professionally proven. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. My name is eCussionist, aka Matt V, for NGO Radio Terror's free lessons for all ages and all levels. Streaming right there on their YouTube channel. And the big shout out to Prowell Corporation, Roland Corporation, Tamburo Drums, and Icon Microphones. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you next week for Lesson 7 of 2025, the second.